the reality of it is it's going to happen to all of us. It happens in the spring. Those seem to be those spring calls we get. And I thought, that's probably one of the least favorite that I get of all. Is that one there that says, hey, y'all have done a great job. I hate to make this phone call, but I've got a friend, that is going to try the business. So all you can do is wish them good luck. But, that's certainly one that I hate. And to Jesse's point here, shot me a text. He says, tell them to save a friendship and don't hire them. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? That's the reality of it. There's two people you shouldn't work for, and that's friends and neighbors as far as I'm concerned. I just don't like it. I mean, there's a lot of Darren and I joke about that all the time, but and he's on the other side of that. But, I don't like working for friends or neighbors either. It's I know business is business, and you're supposed to be able to separate the two and that whole thing. And I can, and occasionally, somebody will ask me to do something that's a friend, and I'll say, hey, man, let's just do it on the weekend together, I want your friendship. And I think Jesse's hot on point with that, first of all, they always want a discount. And they want the best job you ever did in your whole business career. And it's, I don't want you guys to think that we don't do good work, but you scrutinize your work a little harder. You guys tell me if I'm wrong, but when you're working for somebody, it's like you're worried about that job. You just want to make sure that everything's perfect with it. It's kind of like that first date with somebody or that second date that, oh man, you just want it to work out perfectly, So anyways, you got to be careful with friends and neighbors. I agree. Or how about the call that you get or maybe not it's a call, maybe you roll up and let's see, before I get into that one here, let me see what this one is. Coming in here. Charles says, yeah, I had that call before too. After that conversation, were they really the client, that I want? Most of the time the answer I figure out's no. However, I may realize they aren't getting the same service as you, and they might call you back. Absolutely. And that's the way this lady left it, and that's the way it's left most of the time. I do always tell them that at the end, that same thing that, hey, if it doesn't work out, give me a call back. I'm not mad at you. Because I think a lot of times they're resistant to call us back in that situation. They're like, oh man, well, I got rid of them. I'm not going to call them back. But that Mike, 100% true with his. He says, unfortunately, friends and family thinks that your policies don't apply to them. It is. It's a double-edged sword. It absolutely is. And I'm glad to hear that it's not just happening at Wayne's Lawn Service, that your business and you encounter those same things. I guess it goes back to that old thing, misery loves company, right? But not wishing any misery on me or you or anybody. But I think that is the reality of it. We've all had those experiences that tell us, man, maybe I'll do it, but, I know I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't, but it is what it is. The other call or stop that you get, and I mean, this hasn't happened to us this year yet from a mowing standpoint, but it happened. It happened. It'll happen. I mean, we've already been around, so I guess maybe it won't happen this year. But it happens, whether it's mowing or treating a yard or whatever, but you cut that yard for the first time for somebody, and they come out the door when you're about done, and they're saying, hold on, what are you doing mowing my yard, man? I didn't renew service this year. I'm not going to pay for that. I hope you don't expect me to pay for that. You ever had that happen? I mean, and for you guys that are new in the business, and I know we got several new listeners here on Profit Time here on Turfside Radio, so if it hasn't happened, it will. So be sure that you've got some type of policy in place that notifies your clients that when you're coming, when you're starting, that way when they come out and say, well, I didn't renew my service, we're going to look at a couple different sides of that and a couple different aspects to that. But the reality of it is, whether you're using a service agreement or not, and there's both sides to that, but let's just say you're not. But have you reached out to that customer and told them, hey, we're going to be beginning our service? whether it's by phone call, by mail, by email, by text, however you do it. Doesn't matter how you do it, just do it and do it more than once. And they say, well, yeah, but I didn't respond to the letter. I didn't respond to the text. I didn't want it. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't have my gosh dang crystal ball out and didn't know that you didn't want service. I told you when I was coming. You didn't tell me not to come. So then you got to make a decision right then. Are they going to pay for the service or are they not going to pay for the service? And what are you going to do if they decide they're not going to? Let's see. Yeah. Jesse says one of his favorites is when they come out to you and try to explain that they don't want their yard mowed after Easter. Well, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys are Christians out there or whatnot and celebrating Easter, but that's a floating day, as we all know, that celebrate Easter. And I mean, what are they waiting on? I mean, will they want to have an Easter egg hunt or something? I get that. I get that too. But yeah, I agree, Jesse. I mean, you do hear that sometimes. Man, wait after Easter. Well, that's a different day every year. So the reality of that is that could be a mess by the time you get there to do that the first time. But, if you've reached out to that client, make sure they understand they're going to pay for it. And are you willing to go to bat for yourself? That's the important thing. Are you willing to go to bat for yourself that says, yeah, they're going to have to pay for that? Now we can't go in and we can't force them to pay per se, but there are things that we can do, and we'll talk about that on another show in more depth. But, certainly if you're not using a good, solid method to collect what's owed to you, it's certainly something that you need to do. And there's methods of collecting what's owed to you that doesn't mean you got to go to small claims court or put a lien on their property and all that BS, because that's a headache. I mean, it may work for you, may not work for you. You do go through all that and you get a judgment, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get paid. So there's other things that you can do, to get your money by utilizing, by utilizing a collection agency. And there's certain ones that are better than others as far as what you get to keep and what they charge for their services. And that's something we'll talk about. But, oh, Doug, that's hilarious, man. I like the idea, man. Round up ice cubes, he says, for those persons. I hear you. I've always, I've never done anything like that, but trust me, man, it's probably crossed my mind once or twice. Take one of those super soakers or something. But no, we wouldn't do that. That'd be very unethical and unprofessional, which is what we're going to talk about. I got a show planned on business ethics for us. We're going to talk about that moving down the road. But yeah, there's crazy things but hey, when they tell you they're not going to pay for it, that just frustrates me.